What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time on this afternoon or late morning, depending on where you are residing. I'm Britt Devine, joined by my weekend crew, Mr. Agents of Fandom himself, TJ, the world's #1 St. Louis Cardinals fan, STL Cards 84, Justin Van Zuiden. Justin, your Cardinals are on the slate. Maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe we won't. What's going on this morning?
Yeah, they've been a little more presentable this week, so I can't scream at them too much. Finally, showing at least a little bit of a life. Nice ninth inning comeback against Kenley Jansen last night. So yeah, for once on a weekend here, I'm not curmudgeon with them. They've played well this week, so got to give them some credit for turning it around a bit this week. They're just they're going to need to rip off 8 or 9 or 10 in a row at some point to make up for the hole that they dug themselves. But hey, at least it's baby steps.
Spidey Bomb himself is here. TJ, we need some likes. I know you've got a lot of home run picks you're on today. What's going on?
Yeah, ready to dive into some Spidey Bombs. We'll drop our first one at 25 likes. It's early morning on a Saturday. We're not going to get too crazy. So first one, 25 likes. Jared wants to know in chat if you can play that grand piano behind you. I don't know if you can, but I can.
It's fake, guys. It's fake.
I got some piano fingers in there. So I could go over to Britt's house and play some piano if he wants, maybe sing him a little tune. But first Spidey Bomb at 25 likes. We'll drop the second one at, say, 40 likes. We are already almost at the first one.
This is what it normally is, right? The grand piano is a little better than this, right? So we'll go with the grand piano on this one. But we probably got to be close to those likes. So click those, everybody. And we'll get a couple of Spidey Bombs. Justin, let's starting. Oh, TJ, what do you got?
We already got the first one.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
All right, so Spidey Bomb number 1. I got to be honest, I like this starting pitcher. He strikes out a lot of guys, but this is still the Oakland bullpen behind him. Josh Jung is Spidey Bomb number 1. You can get him at plus 360 over on Fanduel. And we love us some Texas today, and Josh Jung's going to be knocking one out of the park.
All right, 360 sounds good. I'm going to be following you into that as well. Spidey Bomb number 2. Let's go for what? 50 likes?
Just 40. Just 40. I got lots of Spidey Bombs.
This whole show, it's a short show. We're just going to be doing Spidey Bombs because there's a lot of home run calls. Cards, let's talk pitching on the slate. FanDuel mixed it up a little bit. There's the early slate, and then there's the all early slate, or whatever they call it. And then DraftKings has what I much prefer is the all slate from the morning games. There's a couple of pitchers, maybe 3, maybe 4 we're really interested in using, maybe 5, depending on how you like. But at the top, we've got Ryan, McClanahan, Alcantara. Break it down between those 3 at the top. Are we using 1, 2, or none?
Yeah, the good news with the FanDuel slate is that the earliest slate is the one with the bigger prize pools and also with most of the good pitchers. So really the viable pitchers are going to be the same if you're playing that FanDuel early slate as what we have on the 8-game slate for DraftKings. So yeah, it's a trio, I think, of aces for me. I'm not sure why Bryce Elder is priced so high, but I'm not paying a premium for him against Toronto. I know he's been good, but that's a pass. Nestor Cortez against the Rays is a pass. Numbers just haven't been great this year. I think the league's kind of starting to come around on his, deceptive deliveries and all the quirks that he has that made him so successful. Video can do wonders. And of course, Tampa is just on a roll. So for me, there's 3 viable options at the top, and that would be McClanahan, Ryan, and Alcantara. Alcantara doesn't have the best numbers. I mean, he's a better real life guy than a fantasy guy, but he always pitches deep into games. He's facing the Reds at home. He's a huge favorite. He looked a lot better in his last start, and his K prop is actually the same as Ryan and McClanahan today. And he's cheaper on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Alcantara is cheaper than Ryan, cheaper than McClanahan. So he's the guy for me. If you're playing cash games, he clearly grades out the best on a point per dollar basis. If you're looking for tournament upside and you do want to tap into those strikeouts, I'm fine with the other guys. The worry for me with McClanahan is his walks have been up this year, and the Yankees, for all their struggles, they do have the highest walk rate in the league against lefties, and Aaron Judge is back. So McClanahan worries me the most, especially because of the price and the matchup. So I'm going to rank them Alcantara, Ryan, McClanahan in terms of my interest level today. And then there's a pretty big step down to everybody else. I don't think you have to prioritize anybody else. I mean, you can make a case for a few different guys. John Gray will get some ownership even against Oakland. I don't really love that. I think Bryce Miller is probably my favorite against Detroit. 2 really good starts since he came up. Pretty good scouting reports, even though he came all the way from Double-A. I just don't think Detroit's going to be the team that's going to knock him around. So if you're taking a chance on a cheap guy with a good matchup like a Lucchesi or a Gray or one of those guys, I'd probably rather take Bryce Miller. So for me, on FanDuel, I'm not going below the aces. On DraftKings, I'm probably looking at some Alcantara-Miller pairings.
All right, TJ, we got Spidey Bombs, we got tournaments. Let's start with the home run picks, my friend.
All right, Spidey Bomb number 2 today. We are going over to Minnesota, to Chicago. No, it's in Minnesota. To Byron Buxton. He's got plus 400 odds over on FanDuel. That's just too good for a guy like Byron Buxton. And so even though Minnesota is not my favorite stack today, Byron Buxton is just in too good of a spot to pass up. So he's Spidey Bomb number 2.
All right. And then as far as pitching, what are you doing? Do you have a favorite between the top 3, the best of the rest for you as well?
So on FanDuel, this is only going to be a 4-pitcher day for me. I think Alcantara is good chalk. Joe Ryan, to me, being the second highest owned guy, that's the one I'd want to get most underweight on, but he'd still one of the 4 in my pool. For tournaments, McClanahan and Bryce Miller are just my 2 favorites by far. Over on FanDuel, these guys are going to pick up less than 15% ownership. Miller is showing crazy strikeout upside in a limited sample and gets Detroit. McClanahan can beat up on anybody when he's at the top of his game. On DraftKings is where my pool opens up a little bit. The slate's obviously a little bit bigger. It's going to go Alcantara 1, McClanahan 2, and Bryce Miller 3 for me still, followed by Joe Ryan 4. But I'm very interested in getting some Chris Sale for tournaments, a little Jose Barrios for tournaments, John Gray and JP Sears as well. And so on FanDuel, it's a 4-pitcher pool for me, but on DraftKings, it extends to 8.
All right. We got next Spidey Bomb, TJ. We're at 56. What's that at?
I got 75 likes for Spidey Bomb number 2 for 3.
The price of poker is going up to 75, guys. Keep them going. TJ, I'll stick with you. Offense overall today. What are we looking at? The highest team totals, Boston with 5.5. I was looking at projections. The Bat loves Seattle today. Well, they've bumped up over to 5 and bumped up over 5 as well. Do you have a preference between those offenses if you had to choose? And then where else are we looking overall on the slate?
So Seattle is going to be the number 1 stack on the slate for me by a fairly wide margin. Number 2 is going to come in with Texas for me. Even though I like some JP Sears today, eventually they're going to get to that bullpen. And when they do, that's going to spell very bad news for Oakland. And I think Texas is going to be putting up a lot of runs. And so Texas is going to come in at number 2 for me. From there is where I kind of spread out. I like Atlanta. I like St. Louis. The Mets are fine, though they've been really disappointing as well. I'm going to get to a little bit of Tampa, a little bit of Miami, a little bit of Minnesota. But Seattle's number 1 by a pretty wide margin for me, followed by Texas at number 2.
All right, let's see. Where are we at likes? We're at 64. Keep them coming, guys. We'll get home run call number 3. Cards, offense. Generally, where do you stand? Do you prefer Seattle? Do you prefer Boston at the top? You've got Texas against Oakland. There's a lot to choose from, at least on the all slate on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's a sweep for me with Seattle. I just think Faedo, really bad numbers last year. Didn't look good in his first start this year. Not great minor league numbers. Like, it's a get right spot for the Mariners for me. They're my number 1 overall offense. Probably underweight on Boston. That total is really hefty. It surprises me. And this is weird because I'm, again, if you're not familiar with me on these shows, I usually tend to be more anti-Cardinals than anything. But Steven Matz has been bad, but he's also been a little bit unlucky. If you look at his advanced numbers, he probably should have better numbers than he has. And he's also still been pretty good against lefties. I think lefties only a 208 WOBA, something like that against him this year. And you look at that Boston lineup, Devers is left-handed, Yoshida's left-handed, Verdugo's left-handed, Duran's still in there today. He's left-handed. And, most of their righty bats are just average to below average. Justin Turner's declining a little bit. Kike Hernandez is always dangerous against the lefty, but I don't love that Boston lineup today. So against the lefty. So underweight on the Red Sox for me, overweight on the Mariners. I like the Mets as well, even though they've disappointed all year. Potential get right spot for them against a pitcher that they obviously know that used to pitch for them. And then another angle I think you can take, and this is an interesting one. I was reading some stuff about this. With Atlanta and Toronto, right? You've got Berrios and you've got Elder, two pitchers that people aren't going to play today because they're facing, good offenses. But people aren't going to target the offenses either because they're facing pretty decent pitchers. So nobody's going to play the pitchers. Nobody's going to play the bats. And yeah, if the median outcome, you got a 5-4 game and neither side really wins. But at some point, these stacks that go 2, 3, 4% owned, when you got an offense like Toronto or an offense like Atlanta that can put up 10 runs on a given day, and they're going to have almost no ownership today. If you're on the DraftKings slate and you look at the Atlanta-Toronto game, we only have one guy above 10% projected ownership on both teams combined. So I like those offenses as kind of sneakier tournament stacks as well.
I see people in YouTube talking about weather real quick. I'll bring up Roth's weather report. There is an orange out there. The Mets Washington, I'm sorry, I forgot to lead off with it. He has that as orange. So basically it's going to rain. They can either late start it and probably play, or they can PPD it ahead of time. So if you are playing Mets or Washington players, do keep that in mind. It's orange. When you see orange from Roth, your ears should perk up. Also, this is in Washington, which is notorious for making the absolute wrong decision when it comes to late starts and PPDs and things like that. So keep that in mind. He has Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I think that's later tonight, right? That's not on this slate. So
correct.
Yeah, that one for tonight is, if you're playing the all game slate, probably don't have to worry about it too much, but do keep in mind Mets Washington is orange and it's in Washington. I would probably avoid that for the moment right now between the orange from Roth and it being in Washington. That's personally how I'm handling that. TJ, 69 likes, not nice enough. We got to get to 75, a couple more people, and we'll get the next home run call. I want to go to position by position cards. We're going to try to get through these as fast as possible so we can get questions. Catcher, what are you looking at?
All right. Catcher this afternoon. Actually, some decent targets for potential upside. I mean, we've seen guys like Jonah Heim. Obviously, we know Cal Raleigh's got some power. Wilson Contreras has been taking better at bats now, hit a home run last night. So even against Chris Sale, I think on DK at 4,300, Wilson Contreras is probably my favorite option. Sean Murphy and GPPs, if you're on those lower owned Atlanta stacks, probably not playing a catcher on the FanDuel slates today.
All right, TJ, you got any specific catchers you're looking at bingo home run?
Well, we do have 75 likes, so time for Spidey Bomb number 3 first. Hit it, Rob.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
All right, Spidey Bomb number 3. It's Jared Kelenic. I got to shout out our sponsor, Fanduel, for a second, because Fanduel has been pretty consistently the best home run odds for the last week. Mm-hmm. And so Jared Kelenic, you can find at plus 470 over on our sponsor, Fanduel. Seattle's our favorite stack today. He's going to be knocking one out of the park. Let's get up to 90 likes, and I got a 4th Spidey Bomb for the people. I got a 7-leg parlay that I'm running here for home runs. So I got lots coming for the people today if we're hitting that like button. At catcher, as my new set of lineups is finally coming through here, my highest owned catcher is going to be actually Jonah Heim at 20%. I like Heim a lot today. He's got pretty good home run odds too if you want to pull the trigger on that one. Cal Raleigh comes in at number 2. Connor Wong is a guy I like in that Boston stack. He's been hitting the ball really well this year. Outside of that, it's basically just only guys in my stacks. Wilson Contreras is going to pick up a ton of ownership. I'm going to be underweight. I actually do have some Chris Sale today, and so I'm going to be underweight on the entirety of the St. Louis stack. But it goes Heim 1 for me, Raleigh 2, and Connor Wong 3.
All right. Before we get to first base, you mentioned our sponsor, FanDuel. Thanks to them for sponsoring the show. If you can sign up for them at a sportsbook, if you are in a legal sports betting state, you can get advantage of their new bonus offer. New customers get a Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Make sure to check that out. And also, while I'm at it, my good friend Will Priester, if you like props and things like that, every morning at 10:30 during the week, he is doing Will's Take Your Pick'em show plug, where he goes over all the prop sites. If you want strikeouts, hits, and all that sort of fun stuff very early in the morning, that is a live show here on RotoGrinders at 10:30 during the week. Make sure to check that out. All right, first base cards. Your boy Paul Goldschmidt looks like he's in a pretty good spot against Sale, but he's expensive. What do you got?
A quick sub out for the Byron Buxton Spidey bomb, because Byron Buxton is not in the lineup.
Boo.
We actually got Joey Gallo leading off today for Minnesota today. And so we're going to swap out the Byron Buxton Spidey bomb to Matt Olson.
Matt Olson. All right, we'll go to Olson. What's Gallo to hit a home run? I think they just took him off the board. All right, let's see. I'm looking on Fanduel. Gallo plus 340. That's okay. But we'll swap that to Matt Olson. First base cards. We spending, we saving. If you go in the mid tier, you got Justin. If you're spending on 2 of the 9 to 10K pitchers, a little tough to get Goldschmidt. A little tough to get an expensive first baseman today.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I like the top end guys, Olson, Goldie, Alonso. I think perfectly fine. If you can't, though, like, it's okay to save a little bit of money here. I haven't seen that Minnesota lineup today, but I presume they're prioritizing the lefties against Wisniewski, who's got pretty wide splits so far this year. And judging by the comment of Gallo leading off, I presume Kirilloff is in there. So if he is, you can
second.
Yeah, so you can get him on the cheap. I like the kind of lefty stack for Minnesota today, too. I didn't mention that in stacks, but if you want to just go, especially with Buxton not in there, go with whoever they got for lefties as a stack. I think that's the way to attack Wisniewski. Ty France is pretty cheap as well. So I like the top end guys, but there's some value options there at first as well.
TJ, first base tournament picks?
Yeah, so Joey Gallo is going to skyrocket to near the top of my list today. So is Alex Kirilloff. Paul Goldschmidt is the guy that I'm looking to spend up for if I'm spending up. And then it'd be Gallo in the mid tier and Kirilloff in the second in the bottom tier. Matt Olson, a Spidey bomb, is one of my absolute favorite for tournaments. And then guys like Joey Meneses and Pete Alonso, I do like them both today, but I'm only playing Mets and Washington in my stacks as it stands right now. There are pivots off of that game, so it's not that big of a deal because, like Rod said, we're probably going to find out if it's postponed beforehand. But
what time is that
that's
game?
kind of what I'm doing.
4:05. So
yeah,
with Texas and Oakland and with St. Louis and Boston, so there's great pivots.
All right, second base cards. We've got Marcus Semien. If you're looking to spend up on a position, he's looking pretty good. Is it him or a value play?
Yeah, I mean, I like Semien. I'm underweight in general on the Texas bats today because I do respect JP Sears. I think Sears is a reasonable punt on DK as an SP2 if you're wanting to get a little bit different in tournaments. But the one Texas bat I do like is Semien. Second base is pretty weak. Semien's basically your top end option. You got a lot of guys hitting at the bottom of the order. Tommy Edmonds leading off against a lefty. But and finally, after years of me clamoring for it, he is seemingly giving up switch hitting. He hit righty against Kenley Jansen last night. So, but he hits lefties well, but he's been struggling a little bit the last few weeks. I don't think I want to play him as a relatively popular option today. So, it's basically Semien, Ozzie Albies in tournaments. Luis Garcia is hitting second for Washington. Like, I think he's okay as a punt, but the position's pretty weak outside of the top.
Time to submit the application for general manager of the Cardinals. Right,
yeah,
Justin?
I'm sure I had a lot to do with that call.
All right, TJ, second base.
Semien's number one by a fairly wide margin for me. Outside of that, it's just going to be guys in stacks. Edman, Polanco, Arias, Garcia, McKinstry, McNeil, Taylor Walls, Whit Merrifield a little bit, Ozzie Albies, like just stacking guys for me.
All right, going to third base. Cars, if you like Seattle, you've got Eugenio Suarez is reasonably priced. I think he's a pretty good target today. Is he worth it, or do you want to spend up on somebody else?
I really like Suarez today at the price. in the matchup. Good spot. Not facing a guy that's gonna blow it by him. So he's probably my top play when you factor in salary. Don't love the extreme price on Devers lefty. So basically Suarez and TJ's home run call, Josh Jung. Arenado's been taking some better at bats the last few games. Homered last night and had, I think, like 4 exit velos of 105 plus. So, but Suarez is the guy I'm going to have the most exposure to. If you're not on Bryce Miller, like Nick Maton continues to hit in the middle of the Detroit order, and he's like 2,800 on DK. So you could punt there if you want, but it's not like Suarez is breaking the bank. So he'll be my highest owned third baseman.
All right. TJ, third base.
Yeah, so Josh Jung, the Spidey Bum, is my top guy here by a very large margin. And then right behind him is going to be Eugenio Suarez as well. Outside of that, quite literally just only stacking. Third base really isn't as strong of a position as we're used to today. And so Arenado, I do like Card said, he's been hitting the ball better. I'm going to try and get to quite a bit of him today. But outside of that, it's literally just stacking guys.
All right, we're at 81 likes. What are we aiming for here, TJ?
90, so we're 9 away.
All right, keep hitting that like button for another Spidey Bomb. Let's go to shortstop, spender save cards.
Probably a position that I think if you're not trying to get up to Lindor, you're probably saving. It's weird that shortstop is relatively weak. And you can always play Wander Franco, but salary cap is a thing, and he's 6K on DraftKings and facing Cortez. Bo Bichette's expensive. So if you're spending, it's probably Lindor for me. Otherwise, you're going cheap. Kike Hernandez on the full DraftKings slate or the later FanDuel slate against a lefty is probably the one Boston bat I don't mind playing today. JP Crawford leading off for Seattle at 2,600 on DK. He's probably your top value here.
All right, let's go to shortstop. We forgot Mr. TJ. At the position, we spending, saving, mid-tier, favorite home run. What do you got?
So JP Crawford is my favorite here by a very large margin. He's going to probably be my highest owned bat today. I like Edman in my stacks. I like DeJong in my stacks. I'm getting to some Wander Franco today, a little Carlos Correa and Kike Hernandez, a little Bo Bichette, a little Francisco Lindor and Javi Baez. But JP Crawford is going to be in probably over a third of my lineups.
Yeah, I got to like Seattle quite a bit today. All right, we are 2 likes away. Keep those coming in. Hopefully by the time TJ gets back for the outfielder, we will have that. Cards, outfielder, what are we doing? Lots of fun spots. You've got Seattle. You've got the Minnesota lefties now. They're sort of all popping on my radar.
Yeah, all those Minnesota lefties I think are fine. Seattle is the team that I'm the highest on today. So you got Kelenic hitting third, Julio hitting fourth. They've kind of messed around with his spot in the lineup over the last week or two. So he's hitting cleanup today. He's hit sixth a few times. You can always spend all the way up for Acuna, given the way that he's hitting home runs, the way that he's stealing bases. He's always an incredibly high upside play.
James Caprillion will start for the Athletics on Saturday. JP Sears has been pushed to Sunday.
Oh, all right.
Great.
Load them all up.
Load up Texas.
That's a good thing I got all my Texas in. The books knew last night. I got it. It went down to minus 160, and of course Oakland scores 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th to get the victory. But today at minus 140, I bet the Rangers, and that's going to go way up now. Correct?
It should. Yeah, I would say maybe 200 or 190. I tell you what, Oakland's been horrible, and they aren't. I mean, the pitching is horrendous, but that Rooker kid is really good, and it's a shame that he's on that roster, but he won't get much attention. But nice to see him hit that walk-off bomb.
The Las Vegas Rookers.
Speaking of Brent Rooker, we have Spidey Bomb number 4, and it is Brent Rooker today.
I did not do that on purpose. I had no idea.
The sites they just took a bunch of these off, so you might not be able to get it. But what are you looking at for Rooker today? FanDuel has him off the board because they're obviously changing everything.
Oh, so he was plus 4. He's plus 420 on Caesars.
All right, so you can probably go get that over there. I'm looking. Let's see here.
Oh, Rooker is not in the lineup, so no Brent Rooker today, and we're gonna switch it to the guy batting third, my guy JJ Bleday.
JJ Leday. So what do you got for him for odds today?
So he's plus 600 on FanDuel.
All right. When that comes back up on the board, I'll make sure to get that. And then outfield, TJ, wrap it up for tournaments. Then we'll take some questions from Discord and YouTube.
Love me the Spidey Bomb JJ Bleday today. Obviously, as a cheap option, Jared Kelenic is probably going to be my favorite on the board. Julio Rodriguez, I love today. Jazz Chisholm, Ronald Acuna Jr., guys that I'm going to be getting to a lot. But my favorite one is probably going to be Jared Kelenic. I really like these Seattle guys.
All right, let's see. Trying to field some questions. If you guys have them in YouTube or if you're a premium member into Crunch Time, I'll prioritize those as well. Anthony from YouTube wants to know, Cards, thoughts on Alcantara against the Reds. I mean, he must have tuned in a little late because I believe he's far and away our number one option.
Yeah, he's your SP1 today. Pitches deep into games. The Reds have some of the worst offensive numbers you'll see against right-handed pitching. And frankly, outside of India, there's not a whole lot in that lineup that's going to scare you. So the old, Fraley, Steer, Henry, Ramos, middle of the order, I don't think is going to frighten too many former Cy Young winners.
I want to jump back and take a look at the Rangers lineup now going up against, actually, we don't even have a Ranger. It hasn't come across yet, has it? Brilliant starting.
Yeah, probably not now. If the pitcher's changing, they're probably going to.
Yeah, I don't see it. Is there anyone you would want to prioritize now because against the righty?
Nate Lowe.
Nate Lowe probably.
All of them, but Nate Lowe.
Yeah, if you were on Semien, I would still play him, Young, Heim.
I'm definitely not getting off of anybody, but I'm a lot more heavy on Nate Lowe. Like Nate Lowe was plus 600 to hit a home run on FanDuel. So if you can still find him for anything like that anywhere, that is just beautiful.
Yeah, Lowe's 4,500 cards I'm looking at on DraftKings at first base. Would you choose him? There's really no one else in that tier you'd probably play. So he's certainly entered, if you can't afford the Goldschmidts, the Olsons, and you're not going to go down to, the Justin Turner tier, he looks like a pretty reasonable play now in that mid tier.
Yeah, that's kind of a dead zone for the pricing. So Gallo at 4,200, like that would be, I guess, your question. Would you rather play Nate Lowe or Gallo?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's low for me.
In cash games, it's definitely low. In tournaments, I could see playing either guy.
Yeah,
play Gallo in the outfield and play Lowe there.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm sort of swapping around a couple of things too personally. Myself. Let's see if I can come up with any other questions in Discord. It doesn't look like there's any yet. Lefties.
Everybody's still sleeping today or what?
Yeah, where is everyone in the Discord? There's a lot of premium subscribers. I know you're out there.
Let's get 9 more likes, get us up to 100.
Let's see, Steers, no Rooker. Don't see. Yeah, Grossman. Do you think he's still going to bat second?
No, he would be the downgrade probably because he usually doesn't pop that much against righties.
Yeah, if you're
Jankowski's out though, so he might still be because that's usually the guy that they plug in against righties, and so they might just keep Grossman there since Jankowski's on the IL.
Let's see here. All right. So there's the team I'm going to go with personally. All right. So I just rearranged my lineup. I'm set.
I don't even have a dummy lineups in right now. I got 150 and they're all just currently empty, but there's 30 more being built right now, 25 more being
Let's
built.
Go lineup HQ. Get those teams in for
I got 5 more minutes, so I'm gonna be good. I'll get them in. But having said that, if this build isn't gonna be what I want, then I'm just gonna have to take it anyways. I'm just gonna have to accept it because I'm not.
All right, someone wants a Oakland lineup. It's Ruiz, Noda, Blade, Langoliers, Peterson, Laureano, Diaz, Kemp, and Allen. So if you were playing them against Gray, Noda, Blade, Langolier, basically the top 6 is probably where I'd cut off if you were trying to play a stack against Gray. And I think Gray will be reasonably popular on DraftKings today. BJ Tom in Discord, Cash, 5 Seattle bats. Is that too many today, Cards? Are we playing the top 5? You got Teoscar down there too.
I love Seattle, but 5 in cash on an 8-game slate is probably a few too many eggs in the basket.
Don't put that lineup in cash. Just throw that in a tournament lineup and don't get rid of it.
Yeah. Who would be your priority? Would you rather play
I think you're probably playing one of the outfielders, either Julio or Kelenic. You're probably playing Suarez, and then you're probably playing Crawford. That would be my top 3.
Yeah, that's pretty
Like
much.
Raleigh's 4,600. You don't need to play him in cash. Basically you're at, and I get it. I mean, the other ones he's probably got in there are like France or Teoscar, but I would probably limit myself to 4 tops, but 3 most likely.
All right. Chad from YouTube wants to know favorite 2 pitchers for DraftKings cash. So if we're playing Alcantara, do you prefer the double premium, probably with the Ryan or McClanahan, or do you like going down to a Gray, or I believe you were on
Miller?
Who was it down here? Miller at 8,100.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Ryan and Alcantara, that's fine. But if you need the extra 2K for your bats, I'm okay with Miller as well.
Any bets anyone else was on? So I mentioned I was on the Rangers. I do have. We're all on the late show for the late slate tonight too. But if you want to get ahead of a bet, I'm going to be on Zach Gallen over 6.5 strikeouts. I wrote that up on Scores and Odds. That's a big bet I personally have tonight. TJ, you have all your home runs. Did you come up with anything else, or you're just going for the home run bets today?
No, just going for the home run bets today. The fact that I got Rooker and Buxton in some parlays is disappointing, but hopefully those guys don't end up pinch hitting or anything like that, and then they just get pulled out.
And then Cards, you got anything you're on today?
Nothing really for the early slate. I mean, I kind of liked some of the alternate stuff with Oakland when they had Sears in there, but that's completely out now. Thankfully, I didn't place any of that. But yeah, I don't mind the over in the Atlanta-Toronto game too. I didn't write that up. I don't have anything that I think is super crazy that looks awful as far as lines go today, but I do like some of the bats in that Atlanta-Toronto game.
All right, TJ, I'm going to throw you a pitcher question for tournaments. Maybe people showed up a little bit late. What's your overall take from the tournament side as far as pitchers go?
Yeah, so I think Alcantara's good chalk. He is going to be my highest owned guy on FanDuel. I would only play Alcantara, McClanahan, Miller, and Ryan, and that's the order I would rank them for tournaments. I got a bit bigger of a pool on DraftKings. I added in Jose Barrios, Chris Sale, John Gray, and even a little bit of Steven Matz now that there's no JP Sears. And so I got 8 guys in that pool. I really like Sale, Gray, and Barrios for tournaments as some cheaper options, but Bryce Miller is probably going to be my favorite tournament guy there.
And then Cards, as far as top offensives go, what are the teams we're targeting?
Yeah, for me, Seattle and the Mets, and then maybe the Braves and Blue Jays in tournaments, and now we got to throw Texas in there with the change in pitching. So,
yeah,
I'm trying to get a second build in that has even more Seattle and Texas, since my last one only had about 15% stacks apiece. There's a minute and a half left, and I got 20 more teams left to build. I'm gonna get there, I think.
TJ, we'll let you sweat that out in the lineup HQ arenas. I'm just scouring for any more. I don't see any in Discord. I'm checking the YouTubes. There's no Heim in the Texas lineup. So I believe the Texas lineup. Yep. He's the right Ranger. Grossman is in. So it's Semien, Grossman, Lowe, Garcia, Young, Duran, Tavares, Smith, and Leone is the Texas catcher. So TJ, you're gonna have to do some reworking in the lineup HQ.
I'm still gonna put this one in but I think it's gonna have about 25% Heim, and so I'll just manually adjust all those teams after, since that's not till way later.
Yeah,
but there's 5 left to build and about 30 seconds left. Well, we get it.
Cards, any takes on that with Grossman still being in there? Would you he's obviously anyone near the top of that lineup looks.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly fine. He doesn't necessarily have a huge ceiling, particularly against a righty these days. Like I don't mind building a Texas stack and fading him if he's going to end up being chalky, but I mean, I'm not going to argue with like a 2K guy for batting second against that Oakland pitching staff.
All right. I want to remind everybody, if you're tuning in late, the Mets-Washington game is orange from Kevin Roth. So just keep your eye. If you did roster any of them on DraftKings, or if you're playing the later afternoon slate on FanDuel, keep an eye on the rain in that game. Roth has an orange, and it's in Washington, notoriously horrible for making the wrong decisions in terms of rain. Just keep your eye on that one. Could be a late start and play later, or it could be a PPD. Or Roth says if they hit us with a post first pitch PPD, they are insolent fools. That's probably my number one expectation of what Washington's going to do.
That's
today.
about
So-
right, given their
So
history.
about a 6 or 7 o'clock PPD from Washington probably sounds about right today.
Right when it stops raining, they'll post.
Yeah, literally, that is how it works there.
It's going to be a good day to make sure Roth's tweets are on. You have notifications on for them.
Yes, absolutely. Other than that, it looks like Discord's done. It looks like the YouTube catching. Texas catcher is who's that going to be? I
Leon.
forgot.
Sandy
Leon.
Leon.
Yeah, Leon's going to be in there for the Texas catcher. So it's a after lock. But if you have a chance to swap that around, make sure to do that. I think that's going to be about it for this show. We're all running it back a little later tonight at, I believe, 6:30. So tune back in for that. We'll have more bets again if you're looking for a bet. I'm on Zach Gallen over 6.5 strikeouts. I was around -140 or -145. I'm okay with either of those. You can, I know our producer Rob same game parlay that with them to win, which I also like if you want to get a little closer to plus odds or even over the plus odds. That's another bet that I like. Other than that, check back later for cards and TJ. I'm Brett. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we out ya.